Good morning and hello. I'm honored to be with you today to be a part of National Landscape Day 2021. And it is my privilege to be with you representing World Urban Parks. I want to thank Director General Matina Mod Dake of the National Landscape Department of Malaysia's Ministry of Housing and Local Government for the invitation to speak with you at National Landscape Day 2021. My name is Jayne Miller, and I am the chair of World Urban Parks. I am a Parks and Recreation professional with over 35 years in the public and nonprofit sector in the United States. I have been fortunate to spend the over 20 years of my career with the city of Ann Arbor in Ann Arbor, Michigan, in various positions in Parks and Recreation, finishing off my time in Ann Arbor as a deputy city administrator. I have also been fortunate to lead and operate the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board in Minnesota and the Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy in Pennsylvania. In addition to serving as chair of the board for World Urban Parks, I also serve on the board of City Parks Alliance. I'm a board member and faculty with the Indiana University Executive Development Program and a commissioner with the Commission for Accreditation of Park and Recreation Agencies in the United States. I also am director of the Park Foundation School in the US, am an American Academy of Park and Recreation Administration Fellow, and am a fellow with the Salzburg Global Seminar. Many of you may not be familiar with World Urban Parks, so I want to take some time to share with you a bit about our organization and the work that we do. World Urban Parks is the international organization representing the vibrant urban parks, open space, and recreation sector. World Urban Parks was developed in 2015 from the International Federation of Parks and Recreation Administration, or IFPRA, and the Parks for Life organization. World Urban Parks envisions a world where people value and have easy access to quality urban parks, open space, and recreation. Our mission is to promote and support the provision, effective management, and use of urban parks, open space, and recreation worldwide as an integral contribution to healthy communities connected to the natural world. At a time when growth in urban areas will see 70% of the world's population living in urban areas by 2050, sharing knowledge and providing a collective voice for all people and organizations engaged in green cities, open space, recreation, health, and related activity is vital. Our goal at World Urban Parks is to build healthy, livable, and sustainable communities. World Urban Parks consist of members on 6 continents. Members include cities, Members include cities, states, and federal governments, national and local nonprofits, businesses, universities, and community groups. Much of World Urban Parks work is done through regional committees and portfolios. The regional committees are based on geography, with professionals from the same geographic region working together. For example, there is an Asia Pacific Regional Committee within World Urban Parks. The portfolios are topic and issue-based committees with professionals from around the world working on issues such as healthy parks, healthy cities, older adults and parks, children, play and nature, and climate change and resilience. World Urban Parks also manages and partners with others on a number of programs. These programs include National Park Cities, which is a local community-driven movement that draws together people who want to make their cities greener, healthier, wilder, fairer, and more beautiful. The program involves all kinds of people: cyclists, scientists, tree climbers, artists, teachers, students, unemployed, the underemployed, doctors, politicians, children, kayakers. I think you get the idea. The aim of the program is to transform our cities into national park cities. London is the first city in the world to receive the designation of being a national park city. Other cities around the world are working to become national park cities. Our goal is to have 25 national park cities around the globe by 2025. Another program is the Emerging Urban Leaders Cohort Program. World Urban Parks and Salzburg Global Seminar partner on a number of international programs, and the Emerging Urban Leaders Cohort Program is just one of them. The program is designed to provide thought leadership and safe spaces for emerging urban leaders to collectively advance critical urban parks work. The program launched at the end of 2020, and the inaugural class of fellows begins their work together in just a few weeks. Each fellow was selected based on their innovative idea, advancing urban parks work, and the ability to advance that idea into reality through the program while serving as a program fellow. World Urban Parks also is advancing and promoting the 10-20-30 program. The program is advancing equitable access to parks whereby all people will have a park within a 10-minute safe and accessible walk, that all parks will enable unstructured play, access to nature, and multi-generational well-being, that all people can access all of their basic needs within a 20-minute walk, and that this is incorporated into existing cities and the way of planning and creating new communities globally by 2030. In addition to the specific programs World Urban Parks provides and manages, World Urban Parks also hosts regional and World Urban Parks Congresses around the globe. Annually, we hold the World Urban Parks Congress, moving the Congress each year to different cities in the world. We partner with cities, states, national governments when we host each World Congress. Most recently, World Urban Parks Congresses were held in Melbourne, Australia, and virtually this year in Tirana, Albania. World Urban Parks also hosts regional congresses, reaching and serving professionals in various regions around the globe. Recent regional congresses have been now held in Kazan, Russia, Salta, Argentina, Auckland, New Zealand, Monterey, Mexico, Canmore, Alberta, Canada, and 2 will soon be held in Hoiga, Japan, and Guayaquil, Ecuador. This past November, we held our first virtual World Urban Parks Congress because of the pandemic. Nearly 400 participants worldwide came together to participate in over 50 hours of professional content, hundreds of networking opportunities, and in a single day workshops covering 15 hours of straight learning from professionals all over the world, with workshops from Tirana, Singapore, Los Angeles, Melbourne, Bogota, Paris, and Sydney. In addition to providing virtual congresses in 2020 to meet professionals' needs during COVID-19, World Urban Parks also developed the Pathways to Recovery document and the Nature Never Closes statement as part of our response to the pandemic. The Pathways to Recovery document is a living document and an international guide of resources, insights, and community perspectives to help connect park agencies, community organizations, individuals, cities, and park conservancies to better navigate a path toward recovery, equity, well-being, social justice, and resilience in response to COVID-19 pandemic. The Nature Never Closes statement notes that despite lockdowns, curfews, and physical distancing measures, we know as a profession that nature never closes, and that we believe that many parks and trails, open spaces, and nature can continue to be used in safe manners that allow people to enjoy the mental and physical health benefits these spaces provide. In all instances, we continue to strongly recommend people follow government directives and guidelines regarding the use of these spaces and recognize that these vary from community to community. We are proud to say that 60 organizations worldwide, as noted on this slide, have publicly signed on supporting that nature never closes statement. World Urban Parks also presents awards annually at the World Congress. Professionals are recognized worldwide in categories such as the Emerging Cities Leader, Young Urban Leaders, and the Distinguished Professional Award. Parks and park systems are also recognized as worldwide leaders in awards categories such as the Legacy Park System and the International Large Urban Parks category. Please visit World Urban Parks website and our social media pages on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter to learn about our work and get engaged in our events and programs. This is a great time to join World Urban Parks and to get involved globally with other urban parks leaders. Now what I'd like to do is just give me a minute to stop sharing my slides and so I can continue my presentation. I apologize, give me a minute here. Now what I'd like to do is, now that you have background about me and World Urban Parks, I want to transition to the focus of my talk. Before I do that, however, I want to set the stage for what I will be talking about. As I prepared for my talk today, I thought about where I was a year ago. It was exactly 1 year ago when, for North Americans, COVID-19 became our reality. At this time last year, I was at the Alberta Recreation and Park Association Conference in Canmore, Alberta, Canada, with a number of World Urban Parks colleagues and Parks and Recreation professionals from throughout Canada. The first 3 days were a whirlwind of new and constantly changing information, coming at us every minute, every hour, about what we needed to do to respond to COVID-19. It was difficult for me to keep up with the flurry of emails, texts, and media messages that were flying around, as well as the immediacy of everyday life changes that were upon us. I was trying to grasp the reality of what COVID-19 was, let alone what was happening to our everyday lives. I had to begin to figure out what to do, how to live in the new reality, both in my personal life and my professional world. I realize now, after living a year in our COVID-19 world, that my understanding of COVID-19 and the impacts of COVID-19 were minuscule as compared to the reality of this pandemic. After a year of living in the COVID-19 world, I have become accustomed to my new reality. I'm not saying I like it, but I have become used to the changes in my life. And I'm wondering how long these changes will last. How long will we live like this? How safe will I feel when the world reopens and the fact that what was our normal life is now in the past? Towards future landscape, localizing sustainable development goals is the theme of this conference. Before the pandemic, many of us, I would suspect, at this conference knew and recognized the importance of the Sustainable Development Goals, or as we all know them, the SDGs. Many of us were working to make SDGs a reality, but the pandemic has heightened the criticalness of making these SDGs a reality, not just for those of us already doing this work, but also for others. The pandemic has heightened the awareness and the need to improve our landscapes, especially at the local level, where the changes and impacts can be owned at the local level, can be felt daily in people's lives, and can ultimately and collectively move the needle for the sustainability of our planet. Yesterday afternoon's theme was the landscape architecture approach in sustainable development. You heard from a mayor who is leading sustainable development in his city, a professor who is integrating one of the SDGs in higher education, and landscape architects who are doing this work in cities across Malaysia. They share the connection between landscape architecture and sustainable development, what SDGs are from the perspective of landscape architects, and how landscape architecture plays a unique role in making the SDGs a reality. Just give me a minute. Talking for 30 minutes dries out your mouth. Before I go any further, I do want to take a minute to apologize for my previous mispronunciations and in advance for errors I am sure I will make in pronouncing individuals' names as well as the names of cities and institutions in Malaysia. It is important for me to recognize professionals, organizations, and cities in Malaysia who are doing great work. But in doing so, I am sure I will mispronounce names, and for that, I do apologize. Yesterday, the mayor of Seberang Perai expressed the wishes of the city council to make their city a green city that meets the sustainable development goals in a city with complex land uses. Dr. Lee Yoki Lei talked specifically about SDG 11 and how the achievements of this goal can be applied in professional education at higher level educational institutions. Sophia Castello shared the Municipal Climate Adaptation Program for Malaysia developed by her agency, Think City, in addressing heat stress, flooding, social vulnerability, and gaps in institutional capacity. The Director of Landscape and Recreation Department with Johor Bahru City Council stressed how cities can emerge stronger from the COVID-19 pandemic by investing in sustainable green infrastructure. This work in Malaysia and Malaysian cities is impressive and critical, and this work must happen also in every city across the world. Given the overarching conference theme and today's theme of community landscape and importance of public park, I'm going to share international trends that are occurring and their direct connection to the community landscape and the importance of public parks. I also want to point out that these trends and the resulting impacts on the community landscape and public parks are international. Because these trends and impacts are international, it is critically important that we all collaborate internationally to mitigate some of these trends where necessary and to also address the impacts of these trends. So now, let me share with you some critical trends that are underway around the world. First, shifts in global economic power underway due to the financial impacts of COVID-19. Park and recreation agencies and park conservancies, foundations, and friends groups are experiencing significant negative financial impacts. With these financial challenges, these agencies and organizations are looking more extensively and more deeply at alternative governance and funding models, and more self-sufficiency because of changes in global markets, sanctions, and tariffs that threaten local supplies all around the world. Two other trends are these. The world population is aging and people are having fewer children, shifting the world's demographics. These shifts will impact the types of open spaces and recreation experiences people value. Population growth will drive urbanization, and that growth, coupled with high park usage during COVID-19, will continue, and it will continue to increase the demand for open space, especially at the local level. These changes will require an enhanced interconnected public realm and elevate the importance of local open space. Hyper-local parks and slowways are gaining traction as a response to increasing population density and equity concerns. There is also an increased focus on quality and maintenance of our open space networks, given the increased usage that has occurred through COVID-19, and that will continue into the future. Accelerating urbanization is continuing, but there is evidence that most new growth will occur in medium-sized cities, and a recognition that open spaces will need to be established and protected in urban areas. The pandemic has highlighted and intensified the inequities of public and personal outdoor living spaces relating to apartments and social housing. As a result, the holistic public realm concept of interconnected environmental infrastructure and addressing inequities of access to public spaces are gaining significant traction. There is also a rapid adoption and extension of the 10, 20, 30-minute neighborhood concept. Again, that concept is where all people have a park within a 10-minute walk, where everyone can access all of their basic needs within a 20-minute walk. And incorporating these into existing cities and the way of planning and creating new communities globally by 2030. So the 10, 20, 30 concept. Use of technology has grown exponentially with a greater move to online shopping. This is having a significant impact on shopping malls, resulting in their reduced vitality. This shift, however, provides us with an opportunity for the public realm. These spaces can be converted to parks and open spaces, improving and expanding access to green space. Rapid adoption of technology and work from home or work from anywhere is changing behaviors, expectations, and delivery of services and experiences. With significantly more individuals working from home or in local clusters, there is an increased demand for a functional environmental infrastructure. Just note, this is the third time that I've mentioned that. The rise of smart city technology to create no-touch safe zones and safe physical infrastructure will influence the mobility in and use of the environmental infrastructure, including park and recreation spaces. The pandemic has heightened the awareness of resource scarcity, the finite natural resources for energy, food, and water. This awareness is leading to more local production and city-based food production and shifts to human-powered transportation. Pre-COVID, there was an expansion of community gardens to address food deserts in communities. Demands for community gardens will only grow as the pre-COVID demand is coupled with more local production and city-based food production due to people's awareness of resource scarcity. Pre-COVID-19, cities that were embracing smart city practices were expanding trail networks and connecting these trails across and through cities for walking and biking. These smart cities were also converting portions of roads to pocket parks, outdoor dining spaces, and transit ways for bike and pedestrian travel pre-COVID-19. With the now heightened awareness of finite natural resources for energy, food, and water, this movement too will expand. The spotlight on inequities in many communities, including the socioeconomic inequality regarding access to basic parks, nature, and recreation, has documented more visibly the consequences of these inequities. Black Lives Matter movement has especially shown how public opinion and public movements are forcing dramatic changes, not just in my home country of the United States, but around the globe. Public opinion and public action will accelerate demands for greater equity and access to public resources and challenge historic use and leases over public land and parks, including the acceleration of Aboriginal self-determination and treaties for traditional owners around the world linked to the health of communities and especially elders. That was a lot of information, so let me recap. The global trends and impacts underway are continuing to increase the demand for open space, especially at the local level. They require us to develop an enhanced, interconnected public realm and elevate the importance of local open space. They demand that we create and expand hyperlocal parks to address increasing population density and equity concerns. They mandate that we increase our focus on quality and maintenance of our open space networks. The trends also demand that we embrace the holistic public realm concept of an interconnected environmental infrastructure. They challenge us to adopt the 10, 20, 30-minute neighborhood concept, where all people have a park within a 10-minute safe and accessible walk, where everyone can access all their basic needs within a 10-minute walk, and where we incorporate both of these into existing cities and the way of planning and creating new communities globally by 2030. They require us also to look at the opportunities to convert shopping malls to public parks to improve and expand access to green space. These trends also require us to embrace smart city technology, creating no-touch safe zones and physical infrastructure to influence the mobility in and use of the environmental infrastructure. They challenge us to expand community gardens and expand trail networks for human-powered transportation. And they demand that we embrace greater equity and access to public resources, examine our practices of use and leases over public land and parks. Again, I want to stress that these trends and their resulting impacts on the community landscape and public parks are international. We need to work within and across the borders of our cities, our states, our countries, to positively impact our community landscapes and demonstrate the importance of public parks. International collaboration is critical to address the impacts of these trends. In closing, I want to once again say thank you for the opportunity to be with you today. I'm honored and pleased to share my knowledge and challenge all of us to improve our community landscapes and advance the critical spaces in our communities, our public parks and open spaces. Thank you.